Messenger Podcast today on what is it, the 15th of December. My name is AJ. Kendra. Hi, Kendra.
Hi.
We have music starting over again. Let's stop that. All right, welcome to the show. A lot to talk about today. It's been a full week since our last episode. This is, I think, the 5th episode that we've done.
It is the 5th.
So it still seems like the beginning. Still seems like we're just kind of getting into things. I put some new backgrounds, new animations up, so everybody watching the video of this or the live stream, you can see those. Kind of like them.
Yeah, and, I like all the additions too.
The little intro, it was kind of fun. Third Coast Gypsy Jazz sponsoring the music there. That's making that fun. I call it getting stuff done music. So big shout out to them. They gave us the rights to use it, which is good.
Yeah.
Have some more music on the way to use several other bands jumping on that, so that should be fun. But first, we got things to talk about. Let's get the week caught up. Last week we talked about Elon Musk working out. Let's just kind of pick up from there. Kendra, you wanted to get the gym membership. How'd that go? Are you working out? Are you a gym rat?
No, I'm not.
Okay,
I'm not
all right.
any
We're trying to
of
hold
those
you
things.
accountable here.
Yes, you did, and I
All right.
appreciate the accountability. But
Yeah.
I'm not.
No,
didn't
but
happen.
no. Okay, so what happened?
I still
What got in your
want
way?
it to happen.
What do you want to happen?
Okay, so the doctor told me to get exercise as
Yes.
a way to combat depression.
Yes.
So that is my goal of exercise, right? Like that is, I want to remain healthy in order to regulate my mood, something like that. So that is my purpose for getting a gym membership. I did not get a gym membership. And part of that is a little bit of confusion with cost, but also is just pure laziness.
At least you're honest. Yeah, laziness. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm allowing excuses to happen too. Like, I could have really pushed for it to happen this week, and you've had a lot going on this week as well, and so I just kind of, because my accountability partner was not,
No, what? Oh, you can't do that.
I just kind of was like, no, it's fine. I can't do it either.
Do your own stuff. It'll be way more interesting. But yeah, you want to get a gym membership, you get that. I looked at the prices and it was like, they're cheap, $20 a month, but the starting fee is like $70. So it's like, okay, all right. So if you're going to pay between the two of us, getting it's $140 just to start. That's a chunk of change. Like $20 a month, easy to swallow. $140 starting.
It's a little different.
Yeah, it's a different pill. But it's like, ooh, I wasn't ready for that.
I guess from what I heard, people that have this gym membership, they say that the extra fee or whatever, that only comes around in January once a year. So
whatever, the fees are about to come because the New Year's resolutions are about to hit. So you're going to get a lot of people in the gym. It's going to be more packed than ever before. And that's, we'll stay on you about that. The holidays are coming up. I'll talk a little bit more Elon Musk. We'll catch up from that 60 Minutes interview that we did. That's on the topic today. I got a variety of things, but starting off with the families. Let's catch up. What are you doing for the holidays going into next week? What are your goals, basically?
For the holidays?
Yeah, we got the holidays coming up. Next time we meet, I don't know if we're going to do the show next Saturday, but it's going to be, the 22nd or something like that?
Yeah, it's going to be like Christmas weekend.
Yeah, so what are you doing?
Basically visiting with family, I guess. I don't really have any plans. All my family is really down in Texas, so I don't get the opportunity to see them, but I plan on getting some gifts shipped down there, so I have to do some online shopping in the next week or so.
Gifts shipped, yeah.
Yeah, so that way I don't have to worry about
it's
gifts.
about the time. It's like hit or miss right now. You got to order this week if you want to get the gifts by then. Here we're doing Christmas with the young ones, with the nieces and nephews on the 23rd. So it's a couple days before. But I think the holidays are a great time. Like we say, I'm wrapping up a Christmas show. It's their last today. It's a Wonderful Life. I do have photos. I'll bring those next week. We'll talk about it then. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check us out at our website, shootthemessenger.net. You can see the full videos posted there. We also have the YouTube page set up. So there's several different areas you can catch it. Video on demand on Twitch, which is, it's taking up a lot of time. Like the podcast, like chopping down the videos and kind of editing them so they're a little bit nicer to digest.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a big deal. We're just trying to pump out content. And I reviewed last week's for doing it. And
any thoughts?
Yeah, I say a lot. I'm going to try to say, I got the meme back here, and I'm going to try to say a lot less and try to speak more with intention. But, I did some soul searching this week. Since I moved, I wanted to get a new radio job. So I listened to the show in radio, morning radio, which I was grown accustomed to. Well, I didn't get a job compared to this other guy. And I listened to his show, and he's actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that made me feel better when you lose an audition spot to somebody that's better, or that you really liked. I liked his energy. It's happy. It's I'm kind of like grindy, but he's all like, oh, everything's fine, and oh my god, and he goes here and there. And I'm not saying he's I'm not trying to say he's any kind of demographic by doing my voice like that, but he's got a higher voice, and I like it. It's different, and
you like his energy. It feels good, huh?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind losing to that guy. I think this show personally is getting better, and I have to audition my own show coming up. We're doing this Charlie Brown musical. It's A Good Man, Charlie Brown, which I wasn't too familiar with, but I am familiar with the Peanuts, the Great Pumpkin,
classic story,
the classic A Christmas Tree Story, and really a lot of the Charlie Brown humor went over my head as a kid, and kind of seeing how it ties in now. Is really, really great because I'm revisiting right now. I like to get so deep into the performances. So I'm reviewing Charlie Brown old cartoons. They actually remade them, like the comic strips, into ones for kids, like newer ones, like the Peanuts, the old Charles Schultz Peanuts, and they kind of make them with the strip in mind. I'll bring up some. We'll get into this. I'm sure I got plenty of Peanuts in my future. Just know that that's what I'm researching right now, and that's what we're taking on.
From what I understand, it's not just you're not just sticking to because. There's been lots of Peanuts type stories on Broadway. There's been Snoopy, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and then it's got this other what you're talking about. So there's a lot of things that you can immerse yourself in with this Peanut stuff.
There's a lot of content. There's a lot of back content, right? There's a lot of character research. And so that's what I'm getting through right now. The show that we did right now with the kids, It's a Wonderful Life, is getting great reviews by everybody who watched it. So they're getting really excited. And, I'm excited for the kids. It's a shorter cast. It's a small cast. It's 5 kids, maybe 6. And some people aren't going to be in the show.
Well, but it's also got some name
gotta
recognition.
cut some people.
I mean, well, yeah, but it'll provide a more quality experience because you got the kids that are committed. The name recognition of Charlie Brown. People like Charlie Brown.
I don't want to decommit other kids because they're not going to be in the show or cast as a lead. It's hard to think about. But, not everybody can be in the show, and some people that probably really want it aren't going to be able to.
Well, and the kids that really want to do it, even if they were cast as, hey, I need help with production in this way, the kids that are really dedicated to the craft, they're going to do those kids,
we'll see.
They're going to do it anyway.
I'm trying to build a program, though. Yeah. I want more kids to be involved, so it's hard to, okay, sorry, 6th graders that are really great, and I want you to try out for other things. You're not going to be in the show, Mm-hmm. So it's tough. And then you have the seniors who are going to leave, so you kind of want to give parts to them before they go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they've earned it. So it's like you just don't take the best person necessarily. You have to take more into account of where they're at in their high school career and how they can play a good role with what you're doing. So it's kind of difficult. I'm looking forward to it. We'll keep you guys up to date as far as that goes. It's A Good Man, Charlie Brown. Let's start to get into some topics right away, though, Kendra. Let's start with this. We reviewed it last week, and I was, I'm kind of on edge. I don't know which one I want to start with, but let's start here. Elon Musk. Okay, we talked about it. Did a 60 Minutes interview last week, on Saturday or Sunday if you caught it. And the demographic for 60 Minutes was 65 and older.
Yeah, that's got a senior crowd.
Interesting, man. 65 and older. Anyway, Tesla unveiling a new truck for the 2019. Look at that thing. Now, have you seen this Tesla semis?
It definitely looks different
than
other. It's got a much more modern feel to the front end. It feels like much more futuristic, Fifth Element-y to me.
Yeah. So somebody tweeted at Elon Musk, where can I order my pickup truck? And he says, I'm dying to make a pickup truck so bad we might have a prototype to unveil next year in 2019. So that's what he's started on. The Tesla semis look pretty sweet, and this kind of looks like a smaller version of the Tesla semi, which I think I have somebody spotted one of these brand new Tesla semis here.
Yeah, for sure.
And they look pretty slick.
Wow.
Electric semis, and it kind of changing the shipping game in itself. So we'll see. I mean, trucks are so expensive and so kind of to build a good pickup to last long, to carry that workload. So we'll have to see what Elon can drum up there, though.
And I mean, if he's already created the semis, I have high hopes that he'll be able to figure out like a pickup truck. Like, there's no doubt that he'll be able to figure out good ways to adapt the technology and move forward. So
maybe I should have like an intro music thing, like this week with Elon Musk, because if I'm going to talk about him every week. But the pickup truck could be on the way. We might go back on this and listen to this in a few years and be like, oh, that's when the pickup truck was starting to be talked about. So now they're starting to talk about a Tesla pickup. Of course, Tesla doing very, very well right now. Okay, just wanted to revisit that from last week because we were talking about Elon Musk and everything Tesla. Let's move on to a different topic. Kendra, what do you got for us?
Well, I have some reflection is what I have over here today.
Right. Okay, all right, reflect us.
So an actor friend once told me, once upon a time, he said...
An actor friend?
An actor friend.
Okay.
A friend that's an actor.
We know about them actors.
Yep. He said that really the work part of being an actor is auditioning. And it's not, when you go to perform and the stuff you get paid for, that's the fun stuff. That's not really the work part of your job. I mean, it has its own elements of work. But the point is that auditions are an ever-occurring cycle in the life of an actor. And auditions are coming up for Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, all right. So I'm thinking of auditions like with these kids, and I'm working with them all the time. And I'm like, well, they think the audition's the audition, but really they've been auditioning for every time I talk to them. They're basically auditioning. Like, everything they do is, and we don't, going into Pride and Prejudice, a little different for us if you don't know anybody in the show.
It's
right?
totally something where you have to kind of get your feet in the door. People kind of have to, especially if you're part of a small community, people want to know that you're going to work hard and do a good job because, like, how many performances do they get to do a year? How many? So they want to know that people are invested in the show. Same way with these kids. You want to make sure that the kids are invested in the show.
Did you sound check yourself, FYI?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure you're loud enough coming through here. But yeah. So go ahead, continue. I have points, but I don't want to interrupt you.
So basically, because Pride and Prejudice is coming up, one of the things that I did, I wanted to know which adaptation Pride and Prejudice this is going to be. This is going to be the Helen Jerome adaptation because, of course, you can't do the full Pride and Prejudice story. It's too long.
It is. I'm so not familiar. I said Pride and Prejudice to some of the actors in the It's a Wonderful Life. They knew. They loved it. But I'm not, this is something where I got to go and study. But there's different versions of Pride and Prejudice.
Actually, Pride and Prejudice is one of the most adapted stories ever.
Wow. I thought Cinderella was.
See, I would have thought like Shakespeare would have been most adapted.
It's not Shakespeare, huh?
No, it's Jane Austen.
Okay.
So basically, I wanted to see, as I'm doing research, I need to buy the book and read the script so that way I'm properly prepared for auditions. And I want to see like what the tone is for this book, if it's more funny, if it's more serious, it plays on the romance a little bit more or plays on the action a little bit more.
Right.
And really, it's Pride and Prejudice, so the action's limited.
There's no action.
No, not really. Not unless you're watching Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which... That is actually a great segue into the different renditions of Pride and Prejudice that you can watch or read to get into Pride and Prejudice if this is a beginner's course for you in the world of Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice.
Why would it be too hard to get into the world of Pride and Prejudice? Is it very stuffy and very slow moving?
It was written in the 1800s, right, by Jane Austen, so it's not like it's a quick read or anything like that. It's a hefty book.
Okay.
There's lots.
Well, I wouldn't read it. I would watch the show.
Yeah, I would recommend watching Pride and Prejudice.
That's all I'm going to do is watch the show. Yeah. Okay.
So, actually, Pride and Prejudice is so complicated that I actually found there's like a family like chart where you can look at all the ways that people are connected to each other and who knows who.
Really?
And because it's not like, it's not a simple story. I was going to try to say it's a simple story. It's not a simple story.
Right.
It is a complex story of love and boundaries and people. So basically, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is one of the versions that you can watch to kind of get get started. I read the book Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. It was actually adapted from the original Jane Austen. So there was this guy, and he was reading Pride and Prejudice in his high school college class, and he thought it was boring. So he just scribbled in ninjas and zombies and like adapted Pride and Prejudice to include those two awesome elements. So I've never read Pride and Prejudice. I did read Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. # would recommend the book. I never even watched the movie.
Okay, so that is a movie.
It is a movie as well, adapted from the book. The book was actually really great because it was cheeky. It kind of followed the storyline, and it had some of that old-timey language in it.
Right.
But it also had zombies and ninja skills.
No kidding.
Yes. So the book
Let me see.
was
2016, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Okay, keep going. I just want to take let's take a ganders at this, shall we? Oh. Okay. So they have a little bit of
human flesh.
Oh, they get serious with the zombies. Oh wow, look at all that action.
The few of us.
Not the kitchen.
They really have the running zombies. Okay, I get the gist. Okay, all right. So
Still
this is a
really
little more
wanna watch
action packed. Okay, you want to watch? Okay,
I still want to. But...
Well, you can hope and dream in one hand, or do a podcast in the other. Let's do a podcast about things you have experienced.
That is one of the options. Beyond that, you can stick with the more classical versions. 2005, Keira Knightley in Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, see, this is the one I'm familiar with, right? Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
okay.
So this was the newer one done in 2005 that kind of one of the movies that sparked the interest in Pride and Prejudice. It should be noted that the year prior, in
She
2000,
did Pirates of the Caribbean.
No.
Oh.
No, this is all Pride and Prejudice. So in 2004, Bride and Prejudice came out, which was the Bollywood version.
Pride and Prejudice.
Yes,
Okay.
and
I'm sorry,
that it had
uncalled
Bollywood
for.
dancing. It was all in English, but it had Bollywood dancing, and it was a Bollywood adapted Pride and Prejudice. Came out in 2004. This
Okay.
Keira Knightley came out in 2005, the next year.
They did.
Yes.
All right, look at that. They're
Trying to say something, Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy.
So this was the party.
I
where
talked
they
about the dance. Now you ought to remark on the size
So
of the room or the number of
so
couples.
what's happening with her? She's meeting Mr. Darcy.
I'm perfectly happy to
So
oblige.
they were
Please advise me of
forced
what
to
you would like
dance.
most to
Like
hear.
they didn't really want to dance with
Reply
each
with you for
other.
present.
She overheard him insulting all the ladies at that party. And
fine,
then they were
fine.
kind of forced to dance awkwardly because they were kind of like asked a pointed question and it would have been rude for them to turn down. So this is them doing like verbal sparring between
While they
the
dance.
romances.
Okay.
Yes.
I love the style of dance. That's very funny. Okay.
So
all right.
beyond the 2005, if you're going back further history in time and you want the OG Pride and Prejudice,
The original.
1995's Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth.
Is it a little oh, we got a little glare on it. Let's get that. Okay. Yes.
Yes. So Colin
Wow.
Firth, 1995. This was actually a 6-part television series.
Jesus.
This was created by BBC.
Was that the full length of the
Yeah, this is the long one. If you want to spend a weekend watching Pride and Prejudice, this is the version that you're
This
gonna
is the
watch.
Roots version, the miniseries version, right?
Yeah, BBC.
The
yeah.
greatest love story ever told.
Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
With her
So
face
do you like Pride and Prejudice? Is this something that you watch a lot?
Yeah, I've actually seen most of the
I'm as astonished as you
things
are.
that we just talked about.
Hold on. It's unforgettable. Okay, they're doing the dance. A
Come,
phenomenon.
man, admit it. She's an angel. I would be very happy if you would dance with me, Miss Bennet.
I do like him very much.
Wow. So you would get all angles. I mean, this is like how many hours?
That's like 5.5 hours. It is.
What?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
they
like,
get the other versions down to like an hour and a half.
Yeah. The Keira Knightley one is like the condensed, like meat and bones type Pride and Prejudice story. The Colin Firth one is the social intricacies, meet all the characters type story, and none of the sisters have been deleted because what usually
Deleted?
what usually happens in these stories is the younger two sisters get merged into one.
Right.
So instead of there being 4 sisters, there's 3, because there's so many characters in Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
And that actually kind of works well with the Pride and Prejudice, a latter-day comedy story. So the Mormons did a version of this. They adapted this story into
A latter-day comedy?
Yes,
What does that
they
even mean?
adapted Pride and Prejudice into like a Mormon version. And the only reason you can tell it's a Mormon version of Pride and Prejudice is they actually talk about the church a couple of times, and then all the girls have sleeves. Always, you never see a shoulder in this movie.
What?
Yeah.
I want to see some shoulders when I go to. What am I paying my good dollar for?
So
See some shoulders.
it's actually kind of funny to watch the Mormon Pride and Prejudice just to kind of compare it to the other ones, because it's definitely a low budget film. They keep the story kind of short, condensed.
What's it called?
It's Pride and Prejudice, a latter day comedy.
Okay. Is it? Do they take themselves seriously?
I mean, it does follow the story of Pride and Prejudice, but it does have like Mormon religious aspects in it. Like it's not super heavy into the Mormon religion. But it definitely follows the story of Pride and Prejudice.
Okay.
This would be a
Bennet has it
recommended
all.
viewing just as
Elizabeth,
something
we've been
to...
commanded to multiply and replenish the
So
earth.
he's in the church, obviously.
This got to stop. The house
It's
is
a metaphor for our love lives.
The last thing she needs.
You're not the sort of girl that I normally go out with. I mean, you know, you're...
I do date. I do.
Okay, the Mormon. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's-
okay. All right. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but
And then the last two I'm going to talk about, the big one that's been adapted and everybody knows about is Bridget Jones' Diary.
okay.
So Bridget Jones' Diary actually follows...
That is the Pride and Prejudice?
That is Pride and Prejudice. Like
Okay.
basically cut and dry adaptation, Pride and Prejudice, Bridget Jones' Diary.
I mean, I haven't seen this. I've heard of it, but I'm not sitting around watching Bridget Jones' Diary.
Well, it's probably a little more chicky than you'd like.
Yeah.
But
That's all right.
Probably one of the more famous adaptations.
Miramax. Oh man, where's Miramax? They're not making films anymore. That was a Weinstein company.
Oh.
Yeah, you're talking Weinstein all over this. Yeah, there you go. Okay, Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
I'm not even embarrassed, but I'm wearing something quite similar to
Oh,
myself.
Colin Firth did this one too?
Yeah, he's played Darcy like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, who's Renee Zellweger?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, she's in it too. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right.
He could be right.
The
thing is, I like you very much, just as you
Does he
are.
play the same
Renee
role?
Zellweger.
Yeah.
Wow, he played Darcy twice?
Yeah, totally.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he is like the classic. Everybody
Darcy?
knows him as Darcy.
Yeah.
The brooding man, the brooding handsome man.
And we even got Colin Firth. Now, this one was before or after his BBC?
After, way after.
So he did both. Okay,
Yeah.
so like, wow, you're going to play the role again. That's amazing. Okay, all right. And finally,
The 2012 Lizzie Bennet Diaries. This was the modern take on the Pride and Prejudice story. So Hank Green from Vlogbrothers fame created this video series, and basically it's a vlog style story following the story of Lizzie Bennet and her sisters, and it takes place in her bedroom. She's vlogging to the camera, and basically they follow the entire book, only it's modern day and it's vlog style.
oh, wow.
So it does a really great job of like bringing the story from an outside world into the modern world.
Why'd you save that one for last?
Because it's a little different.
I can't
Anybody
even
can
find
watch
anything on it. I don't know. Where is it?
On
Did I spell it
YouTube,
wrong?
you can
Okay,
yeah,
is
Lizzie
it-
Bennet Diaries.
Is he okay? And then BENNET.
NETT.
Okay. Sorry.
So you can't. Anybody
not a
can
fan.
watch.
Oh,
the
you
whole
had me kind of interested up until this, but okay.
Well, and this is just one more adaptation to watch, and it is well done by internet
So
people.
we're gonna do Shakespeare adapted to YouTube and tweeting. I'm going to TikTok.
Yeah, basically. They're actually in the process. Pemberley Studios, which did this, they're in the process of doing. I think it's Sense and Sense, or no, Emma. They're doing Emma right now
Hold on a second.
in this format.
The thing that matters is that I'm single. My name is Lizzie Bennet, and this is my life.
Okay, so this is
Probably the president. How do I know? Ladies and gentlemen.
Where's
Shakespeare.
Darcy?
Honey, did you hear the house in Netherfield sold the other day?
Episode 15.
Did it now? The large mansion with a white picket fence and plenty
Anyway,
of space to raise two.
looks like a good use of time there.
Well, it was a nice adaptation for the story. Again,
Okay.
if you've got a weekend, it doesn't hurt to see what other people have done. And I really like the idea of taking classic stories and adapting them. And I think that is done in a way that we hadn't seen yet.
Very
and I
good.
think we're going to see more classic literature.
Well, leading off the show, Pride and Prejudice, Kendra. Gotta love it. Let's hope we get a little bit more in depth with that next time. I mean, I think we will. I mean, it was good. I learned more about Pride and Prejudice
than you wanted to.
I mean, I probably didn't need to spend so much time on it, but it's good. I mean, it's a chick flick. What do you want me to say? It's like I said Pride and Prejudice to the people in the cast, and 4 girls were like, "I know that." Here I am, a man of 37. I don't even know anything about, like I've never seen it, never watched it. I'm sure the majority of the guys are in my corner, like they don't know what it is.
Well, I just gave you a nice variety to pick from of which you'd like to how you'd like to brush up on your Pride and Prejudice. And
I don't want to brush up on it. I don't. It's
Well-
like still, like I don't. I'm doing it. I'll do it for the study, like like to find out what's going on. Much like somebody reviewing ancient history that doesn't dance. We'll review a dance and learn the latest the mating dance of the local peoples. That's what I'll be doing, but I'm not a dancer.
So
Pride
you're
and
saying
Prejudice.
this
I don't
is-
watch Pride and Prejudice, but I will to research it.
So it's for like anthropology purposes. It's not like
Yeah, I won't
it's
really,
just
you know.
to study the peoples.
Yeah,
of the
dancing I would
old-timers.
even enjoy, or I think the anthropologists would enjoy, but I'm not gonna it's gonna be a good hour and a half. I'm gonna have to like.
So you don't feel like there's any like merit to the fact that this was a classic love story that people obviously really like take an interest in and like you don't feel like there's some kind of
Okay,
value there?
it's like any chick flick. Like no guy wants this. Usually, we don't want to sit down and watch the chick flick, but once you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, that character was funny, and you got a few things that you like about it, right?
Mhm.
That's what I think,
Okay.
personally. All right, on to the world of Grand Theft Auto. Wow, Grand Theft Auto. I'm gonna bring it up right now. This is me playing Grand Theft Auto. Actually, you know what? Hold on. This is huge. The news I got, the reason why I'm talking about Grand Theft Auto 5, that is because Grand Theft Auto 5 became the highest grossing piece of entertainment of all time. Like, something like that. Help me out here.
Well, okay. The highest grossing of all time.
Most profitable entertainment product of all time. Grand Theft Auto 5. That's what I'm talking about. So it's made over $90 million, I want to say. $6 billion in revenue. The most financially successful media of all time. Surpassing movies, surpassing Michael Jackson's Thriller, like doubly. So I think it sold 90 million copies is what it is, and it made $6 billion in revenue right now. So the most a movie ever made was like $2 billion, and that was Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar. Titanic was in a close second, like 1.9 billion. James Cameron's got the magic touch. That's what it reminded me of. So $9 billion in revenue, and that should go to say something like the quality of a product that puts out $9 billion. So, what do you think about that? Are video games the future?
I mean, I do think that video games are the future of media. I don't think it's GTA 5. I mean, obviously, numbers say that people
It already is
resonates.
GTA 5.
It
already is, though. It's the highest grossing product of all time.
I don't know. I like it. Okay, like it's just a car game where
It's not
you're
a car game.
violent. It's a violent car game.
Okay, so
I mean, like, are you asking are you asking about GTA 5 and the merits of GTA 5, or like just video game?
I'm not
entertainment
asking
in
you. I'm
general?
asking you. I think I'll ask you to step aside and let me just talk about Grand Theft Auto for a little bit and kind of bring you to school, as it were. Okay, so it's not a car game. It's open world, right?
Okay,
so,
you
so
can
you
get
can
that
go.
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, you can get up and do anything. Okay, so here, some friends invited me to play, and it's kind of a game. You can see I got this up on the screen now of me, my gameplay here, and what kind of irritated me, and first I'll get into it, is that it still holds up. This game's like 5 years old, right? Grand Theft Auto is the 5th installment. Originally, when you played it, it got the violence in video games. It's always one of those. Brazenly made by Rockstar Games, and there's an online aspect now. You can play with your friends, or you can kind of drive around and do whatever you want. The graphics still, to this day, making a great game. They hold up. You can see right now I got my DeLorean type car that was given to me, and I'm kind of like flying into the city, and still looks quite nice. You wouldn't think that this game was 5 years old, right?
Okay, yeah.
So it holds up pretty nice. Open world aspect. There's also like a cheating aspect, which I'll get into in a second. But I think you can play it through single player. You have the online capabilities, so you're not transaction to death. You paid $60 for the product up front, and a fairly good game, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I can see how it has lasted the test of time a little bit. I mean.
Right. Now, some of these other games that are like phone games are the top selling video games of all time. You haven't heard of really because they're all like transaction based. So it comes to a decision like what kind of game do you want for your future, right? Do you want a game that you pay $60 up front and they deliver the product very well? Or do you want a game that maybe doesn't do that and you pay as you go, right? So it comes with like some sort of...
So like when you're saying phone games, are you talking about like Candy Crush or like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Games like that. Now the number one selling game of all time is Tetris. Okay. Tetris sold 170 million Tetris games were sold, and these are just by the numbers. 100 million Grand Theft Auto 5s. It's number 3 of all time. Minecraft being number 2. Okay. All right. Then you have games that have been around so long they've made the most money. Like Space Invaders has made the most money because it came out in 1984.
Right, yeah.
And you have that. Pac-Man is up there in the highest grossing list because it came out so early. But then you have these new games like starting to play catch up. And it was really crazy to see some of these phone games make it in the list. There's like 2 Korean games that have made it on the list, and it's all because of their transactions and selling skins and things like that. Where you used to have a game like this where you gradually just paid. Well, first it was quarter pumpers, right? Mm-hmm. You'd pump in quarter, and then they came out with the home consoles in like 1980s. Nintendo came out with the idea of like, okay, we're gonna make video games harder. You got this console, and then you have like these photorealistic games where you still have the console base, and you have a whole story, open world, playing through, unlocking items, 140 hours put into it. Mm-hmm. It's no longer the arcade like one try, try to play through type game, right?
Yeah.
Longevity, and I guess it's a medium that keeps giving. I'll fast forward through this video a little bit.
Well, and I feel like it takes the art that goes into these kind of stories are vastly different compared to the art in those like phone type games. Those phone type games, they say that women are more likely to be players of those games and be, those are the when you think about the video games that women are playing, it's puzzle games typically on their phone. So I can see how it's like a target market. They're cornering that market of money of women who are playing games on their phone.
Do you think like we're getting away from, video games are finally coming into themselves more and more mainstream? Do you think that's happening because of the popularity of them? Obviously, this game right here, Grand Theft Auto 5, in case you're just tuning in, being the number one piece of entertainment sold all the time. This is where I got into a battle with this guy who started shooting at me. I have a rocket, but I can't seem to hit him.
Well, I do feel like
online open world, he just started attacking me.
I do feel like there are it is much more open to people as entertainment, as like a general entertainment, just because I find myself watching it more often than I ever had planned on in my life. But I think a lot of people that enjoy watching video games, their experience is similar to mine, where you weren't the one playing the video game, you were the one watching your sibling play the video game.
So you watched your sibling play it growing up, but you still found it somewhat entertaining.
I do find it entertaining, but I've also think that there's some reflection, like I feel like there are more women who are playing games that actually have a skill. I don't want to be like too hard on my gender here, but like I find that there are women who are younger than me that play a lot of video games, and they are the legit girl gamers. versus like women that are older than me, they're not going to have the same skill that girls younger than me are. So I feel like my generation of women was at this weird precipice where women weren't big console gamers, and then women under me are becoming more console gamers as well.
Console, PC, just gamers in general. Like, I think that has something to speak with the mass production of different games. It may be different options for games, different kinds of games. So you feel like you have choice. Story-driven games are generally more approached by females, you know. So it could be it, because Grand Theft Auto kind of has both of those things: your player versus player, or your player versus enemy, which is like the computer, and you just play along the storylines. There's also role playing that happens with Grand Theft Auto. You can see when they talk, their mouth moves, and there are people that stream on Twitch and they strictly play characters within these universes and play out full scenes, sometimes with other people that are in on the scene. And that brings me to my next topic about this game, is like online cheating. For a simple program that costs $30 or $15, and this is an online world, so people will have to earn the money to buy the different vehicles, and it's much more permanent than, kind of hacking a regular game. But I was just given money and this car that can fly, kind of like breaking the game's barriers. It's kind of like a cheat code put in. All of a sudden, I have access to all these things that I couldn't have access to, and it was available through a post-party program. Now, this did kind of ruin the game, this unveiling, or this unveiling, peeling back the curtain, being able to do anything in kind of like a God mode, as it were, right? Okay. Instead of working 40 hours to get this car or whatever and saving up money, it was just instantly given to me, and all of a sudden I had like a great car that obviously I'm unable to handle as I run into these traffics and, run into people I don't even know how to take off. It is the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and you can fly with it, and it's a flying car. So these things were kind of given to me in the game, and knowing that the cheating was just, they didn't do anything to earn it. You're just kind of given these things, and it kind of like ruins the game. It's like I watched a video on when you have a lot of choices, you don't appreciate those choices as much as when you don't only have like one thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in that situation where you had a lot of options, therefore you didn't like any of them?
I mean,
or you liked them less?
Yes, question mark. I mean, I can't think of any specific ones off the top of my head, but of course, when you've got lots of options, you're going to just question like, oh, did I make the right choice? Could I have gotten a better option or whatever?
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there is, it does take the magic away from the game when you're just purchasing the items instead of earning it.
Right.
Like there was somebody, I feel like we were watching a streamer one time, and they said, they died or whatever, and they're like, what's the purpose? And they were like, to do this. Like, that is the purpose. Like, the purpose is to die and try again. Like, who cares? The purpose is the experience, is the journey. And if you're just purchasing elements in game, it does take away the experience.
Well, like, okay, so when I was younger, I went to my grandma's house, and my brother's friend gave us like 30 Nintendo games to bring up. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is regular NES, and it was classic, and I was amazed. And the thing is, we would try to play one, but we couldn't. All of a sudden, since I had so many games, I couldn't get into any of them. Right, so is the multitude of choice that made me not able to enjoy a single one. If I would have just been given one game, I would have been forced to kind of like analyze it and play the heck out of it, and kind of find the enjoyment through, I guess, the little hurdles that the game itself would prevent, rather than, okay, you experience a hurdle when you have 30 games and you're like, this game is dumb, let's move on, right? So I think like that has something to be said with having that many choices. And once the veil was put back, these guys simply wanted to, put in their cheat codes, right? Get all the cars and all the money, and that's all they wanted to do. And I'm like, okay, well, we have all this power. Let's do a mission. Like, let's do a mission. Let's rob a bank in the game, or let's do something like that. That would be fun for me. And they didn't want to do that. They just simply wanted to sit on their thrones as gods and kind of fly around. And to me, it's like, what is the point? See, this is tough. See, I'm playing against this guy. He keeps stealing stuff from me. He stole my DeLorean. I just shot him back. Complete revenge with the cop car. Oh, that was sweet when I did that. I played this just for recording footage of the Grand Theft Auto, a game that's 5 years old, and this becoming the number one piece of entertainment of all time. Number one selling piece, the highest grossing, the most money made. A lot more people go into making a video game than I think go into even making a movie, if I'm not correct. Because you not only need the coders, the programmers, and everything you need to make a movie. Generally, you have to have the programmers and people that work with the PC. But what a great moment that was for me, flying into the city with my car that was given to me. So. I don't know. I was just trying to peel back the veil a little bit, but I find it interesting that now the number one piece of entertainment of all time, more than music or movies, would be video games. And more people are making money off of video games than those other forms of media.
Well, Terry Crews said when he won this last week at the Video Game Choice Awards, Terry Crews said, there's a reason I think video games are the future of entertainment, he called it.
Really?
As he was accepting his award.
Yeah.
And I think he's right. It is because...
oh my God. I don't know how to get out of a car. I just jumped out.
They're wasted.
And it just was floating in the air. I jumped out of my DeLorean while I was in the air, if you're listening to this, and I just fell to the ground. I was unprovoked. I just jumped out. Go ahead.
But what I think video games do well, and something that I think entertainers should learn from video games, is you're put in the story, right? Instead of just watching a movie, you now get the experience of being the star in the movie that you're playing. And so it's a much more rich experience from a story listener's point of view than just watching a movie or watching a TV series. And we are finding that media is getting longer and longer, right? Now people can sit down for a 3-hour movie or binge watch something all day versus compared to like 2 generations ago, you watch an hour and a half film and tiny, that was a long film.
Yeah.
That silent piano player his fingers got tired with the... That was a long film.
Well, I think we're built for long form entertainment. Is like a long book, those long sessions that readers have gotten to enjoy for years, and you didn't really have that. And for somebody like me, who's sitting down and having a book is hard, doing this a lot easier to do for long hours. And a lot of kids, would agree. Kids spend so much on their screen time, and they're developing young brains. I think I just read a study. They're just beginning to study these kids and how the screen time is affecting their young brains, and how it doesn't, like, if it's too early, it doesn't translate to real life. So kids, it's harder to differentiate, but I don't know. It's a good release. It's fun to play an action hero, or basically what I'm doing here, running around with a gun. Something I really would have no interest doing in real life. I didn't like guns, but when it comes to this game and just blowing some stuff up and running from the cops, it's really quite interesting. And all right, that's my take on Grand Theft Auto 5. Now the number one piece of entertainment being sold, the highest grossing piece, behind those Titanic movies and those James Cameron Avatar. Which, speaking of Avatar, there's like 5 more movies coming out.
I was not that big of a fan of the first one. I don't understand.
You don't remember all the hoopla, but it's the highest grossing movie of all time.
I remember the hoopla. I do.
It was bigger than Titanic.
Yeah.
So it's huge, and don't underestimate it. It'll be back in a major way.
I mean, I know lots of people enjoyed Avatar. Like a whole language was developed for this film, which is really the sign of a good storyteller. Is did they write a language?
Are you trying to Star Trekify? You talking about Klingon?
No, I was talking about J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings.
Ooh, that's nice. That was good. J.R.R. Tolkien. All right. Well, do you want to bring up the next topic today on Shoot the Messenger?
I would, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
It is that time of year. Yeah, this one's going to be a quick one. It's that time of year.
Quick is fine.
When a planner likes to look ahead to the year because it's the end of 2018, and now I'm going.
Would you consider yourself a planner?
I love planning.
Yeah.
I actually was talking to my therapist one time, and
you have a therapist?
I have a therapist.
Do you sit on a couch and talk to them, or what is it? Classic?
Mostly, it's talking on the phone. But
2018.
We were talking about exercise, and I was talking about how I should be getting more exercise, and I was talking about how
you brought this up.
I wanted to go out on walks more, but I felt so nervous about leaving for my walks because I had work to do during the day. And she said, well, why don't you just go ahead and write that in your planner then? And it was like, that would be a great idea, because if I write my walk in my planner, I won't feel bad about it. So I love planning. That is a testament to my love of a schedule and a plan.
Some of the most successful people I have like block out their days, you know, when they want to do things. So it's a good idea.
Yes.
Sure.
And so it's that time of year, because I'm going to be getting a new planner soon, probably right after Christmas.
Nice.
That I.
Oh yeah, because you got to get the new year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does yours go to January? Is that when you get them, or what?
Well, I have my personal planner, which actually goes until July. It follows the school year.
Okay.
But like my calendar, I also need a wall calendar.
Nice.
So the wall calendar is where the big events throughout the year that you write down, like, I want to go to the Renaissance Festival in August in Detroit. And so you have to figure out the days and write that in. So I was looking at upcoming events for the next couple of months, and I actually found two that I found very interesting. And the first one is the Michigan Nordic Fire Festival. Nordic Fire Festival. So they invite you to come dress up like a Viking, and you can hang out February 22nd through the 24th. And it's going to be in Charlotte, Michigan. So this is down in the Lansing area. And that's another point I'd like to make very quickly, is because we have the blessing of transportation nowadays, I can just take a day and go to Lansing and go to this thing. Like, transportation has opened so many doors in the world of entertainment and whatever you want to do. Like, conventions are
You mean like the invention of the automobile?
The invention of the automobile.
Oh my God! Let's just stand and talk about all the marvels. Yeah, okay. Everybody.
So you can go to.
Of course.
So my point is that
if you were a Nord, you couldn't do it riding your boat. What's your point?
Exactly.
Okay.
Why are you so cranky over there?
I don't know. It's because you're bringing up the invention of the car and how wonderful it is to get to your
majesty at the ability to travel for things that you want to do.
Just seems like, okay, all right, yeah. We all get the car is an amazing vehicle.
Wow,
but
cranky.
to travel to the Nordic Fire.
AJ's poo-pooing on the amazing wonders of the automobile.
I just think you could say that for anything. Yeah, it's amazing. You can get all the way downstate with your vehicle to the Michigan Nordic Fire.
You have the freedom.
How does it tie in? I could say that for. Isn't it amazing? I can get to rehearsal tonight and drive there, and I don't know. It is. I guess it is. You know, isn't modern? Let's talk about plumbing and electricity and
you get to experience the contrast between the old-timey times
don't delegate
and
your topic too much.
Times.
I got it. We got. Let's talk about the fire festival. I'm saying don't diverge too much. Don't get whatever.
Well,
it's good. It is nice.
I had to mention you poo-pooing though, because I mean,
it is nice. Well, I can poo-poo, but it's nice. You're very right. Driving is nice, and the Nordic Fire Festival is also nice. Let's talk about that.
I looked up the schedule. They don't actually have the schedule confirmed yet for who all is going to be there, because entertainers can actually submit their applications until January 2nd. So if you're an entertainer and you want to be an entertainer at the Nordic Fire Festival, you can still submit your applications. So obviously this is going to be like a Renaissance type festival.
Renaissance?
Type.
Yeah.
But it's really a Viking festival. And I know that it's a Viking festival because last year's schedule had a ship burning as part of their event. So you could actually watch a ship go up in flames, which I think would be
they even have a little place where you can buy like armor.
Oh yeah.
And like axes. Okay.
Gotta get ready.
All right.
So people of note that came last year to this was Rogue Blades, Theatrical Combat Network, and Boca Musica. Now all three of those I've actually seen in person. Oh, and Swords of Valor. So there's a bunch of different Renaissance Festival type performers that are going to be there. Boca Musica is actually one of the bigger like Renaissance Festival.
Big B Coffee. They're going to be there. That's good. Gotta have that.
Renaissance Festival like music groups. Boca Musica is. So if you know anything about like them, they're typically at a lot of Renaissance festivals, and so you'll get to see like different performers. All
right. Hold on. You're describing it. Let's see a little video. What do you think?
I like it.
What's the real fire festival? Let's go. Oh, they're just gonna take movies? so you've been to, this is like what you would see when you go to your Renaissance festivals. So do they rehearse their battle scenes and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on the performers, right? So the way that Renaissance festivals work is usually it's an opportunity, like it's basically a place going, I am your venue. If you are an entertainer that likes to entertain in this type of spirit, so you'll get swordsmiths and you'll get belly dance performers, and basically they just provide the venue, and then all these like contracted entertainers come in and do whatever their show is. So some of them have
Okay, so like
scripted...
this is more like what you see. Okay, all right, someone in a parking lot throwing some fire around. They don't even give her a proper venue. Give her a stage or something, huh?
Well, sometimes they might get a stage. She might have actually, I've seen at Renaissance festivals, they'll move the fire performers to some place where there's nothing flammable. So they might have actually moved her for safety's sake.
Well, if
I'm
they're
sure you'll
good,
get fire performers.
that would just suck if you're a fire performer and you light the whole venue on fire. You're just that was like, I'm not coming back next year.
I would hope that there would be more training required for some stuff like that. But
Well, you just said the reason why they're not inside is because they might throw the place on fire.
no,
so.
it's to separate themselves from flammable things.
Yeah, well, it couldn't necessarily be their thought. That would be a terrible thing,
So,
you know?
like, it's just moving. Yeah.
But I would hope there would be more training involved, right?
Yeah, where they wouldn't have an accident like that, where they're not just throwing it at a building.
Well, who knows, man?
Well, and I mean, some of these places, like some of these groups have done training exercises or hold. Like I know Theatrical Combat Network, they do some trainings or have done trainings in the past.
Great
with how to
Lakes
do this
Viking
stuff.
Martial Arts. Okay, so it's karate.
Low his weight down. Let's step in. And I'm coming up here.
Okay, so they do the Nordic stuff as well. Okay, all right.
So that seems like a fun activity. That's happening in February. And then the second one that I found on the mygeekscene.com. So obviously, like, there's a Michigan geek website that like talks about all the different geek things that you could attend. But the next big one is going to be the Great Lakes Comic Convention. That's going to be also February 22nd in Warren, so near Detroit. And their people of note that are going to be attending the comic convention is going to be the cast of Sesame Street, celebrating 50 years.
Oh, wow, no kidding.
Yep. They're also going to have Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood in attendance at this Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
They will also have several comic book artists, of course. So there's going to be the Kyle Holtz, who's the artist of Venom, Evil Ernie.
Are you going? Did you buy your tickets already?
No.
Oh,
William Messner, who's done Wonder Woman, The Flash.
I've never been to a Comic Con. I don't really have much interest in going to a Comic Con.
Why not?
I don't know. It just seems it's a lot of people into stuff that I'm kind of like surfacey about. I'm surface into. I don't really read comic books at all. So I don't know. I've never really thought it's not my jam, you know?
Well, I mean, and that is okay because I would say the reason I like all this stuff is strictly for costuming purposes.
I'm sure a lot of people have their different views. Yeah, costume's cool.
I mean, and that's why I like Renaissance festivals and Comic Cons and all this crazy festival stuff because I like the costumes.
Mm-hmm.
I love the costumes.
Yeah.
I want an opportunity to dress up. And if it takes a convention for that to happen, I will gladly go to it.
It's more than Halloween. What are you going as if you go to a convention then?
Well,
what do you think your top one is? Like, bam, if you're going, what are you going as?
Like a Comic Con, I'd really like to do Lilu from Fifth Element. I think that'd be fun.
You could do that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be fun. I think.
I thought you were saying Lilo and Stitch. I'm
No.
like, it might be a stretch.
No. It would be fun to do any period dress. So like any like historical costume. I think that would be fun. A steampunk. I've never done steampunk. That would be cool.
Yeah, okay, it's cool. How do you spell Lilu? Is it Lu, Fifth Element? Steampunk's okay. The one problem is just the cost of this shit.
Oh,
It's
yes.
like, it's so expensive. Okay, so you'd wear the Lilu costume. Okay, gotcha.
And it can be expensive. Like I saw like the suspenders for her costume, the Lilu costume. There was one of them that was like $100 more than.
No kidding.
Just for the suspenders.
Wow.
So it can get really expensive if you're not making this stuff on your own. But I know that people like people who are really into cons, they'll just make their own costumes. And my Renaissance Festival costume, most of that stuff, that's an expensive costume in and of itself. So if you're talking about like, what do I want to dress up as? Typically I dress up as a gypsy.
That doesn't get old?
No.
I knew you were going to say. I was
No.
like, yes. Yeah.
It doesn't get old.
All right.
I mean, I love my costume. I have different types, like elements that go into my costume. I've thought a lot
What is
about
your
like,
okay? So what's your connection with the gypsy? Why the gypsy? I always wonder, like the people that choose what they choose, like they want to be Wonder Woman or this and that. You want to be a gypsy. So what's the appeal?
Well, this is guilty. The reason I chose a gypsy the first time was because the Renaissance Festival I went to had a really hot guy that was a gypsy. That was straight up the reason I was like, I guess I need to be a gypsy, so he'll notice me.
Okay. It's kind of
Yeah, super vain, but it's something that like as
I
I've
don't know
gotten.
if it's vain, but more than less lame.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it was a good reason, but like since like that's how my interest got piqued, and then I started doing research into the culture, and now I wouldn't even want to call her a gypsy. What I am, I'd really just rather call her a storyteller and a traveler, because first of all, gypsy is actually considered an offensive term. Shocker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, shoot. Okay. All right.
Like gypsies, like calling somebody a gypsy is really like calling them a dirty word.
Okay,
It's
I
not
got you.
pleasant. So
All right.
I mean, I have now all these different pieces. Like I've developed stories around the different elements of my costume. So if I were,
It was about a man, but now it's not. It's more about the costume, much
So
like a lot of things in life. Huh?
Exactly. Starts with a person.
In your life.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. All right. Well, let's move on, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. You done talking about costumes? All right. Let's.
I'm never done talking about
This
costumes.
is one of my favorite remakes. Theme song. Favorite Golden Girls gospel remix.
Thank you for
You always,
being
you ever sing a remix to a song? Like you just add little parts. And
yeah. Travel down the road, back again.
Hey, so we started from the bottom, now we're here, girl. Oh yeah. This is my part right here. Ooh,
It just reminds me of growing up and hanging out with your friends. And we would always sing like little remixes to that. And I just like things that make you feel good. Remixes to songs, you know. He pulls up the yeah, you know, that's kind of you have anybody that you know is just so incredibly talented? About my next topic, that just blew your socks off. Okay, let's start there. Somebody just so incredibly talented, you're like, oh my God, right? Do you have that person in your mind? When you saw them do their thing, they were just like, you know, blew your mind.
Sure. I mean,
And
real person?
yeah.
Like
yeah. No. Yeah. It has to, real. I'm talking real life.
Famous performer? Like,
Yeah.
or like real. Like,
I don't know, man. A person that you know personally, that you, or maybe you were at a contest. But here's my point. Maybe this will better solidify it for you. You see them walking around in life. You see how they eat, how they sleep, how they live, mistakes made all the time. But then they get to this thing that they're really good at. It could be like figure skating, or it could be like gymnastics, or like singing, or maybe it's baseball, or maybe they're a good basketball player. And all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, you're amazing at this. You're so different now. You're so different in my eyes. And that's what I was thinking about. So that guy right there, really good gospel singer, right? You know, and I had a few friends like this, really good, like good pipes. Or I'd be at a competition and there'd be a bunch of dancers there and you didn't know who was good, but then all of a sudden one person gets up and you're like, holy crap. And maybe you had preconceived notions, or maybe you thought you knew, but you didn't know what you thought you knew. And you ever have that?
I would say that I have the opposite of that. Where I
Of course you do.
saw somebody as a
100%
really
Kendra.
great performer, and I was like, oh my God, you're amazing at everything. I can't believe my face is around your face. And then I got to know that person, and I was like, oh, there is a lot more going on. Like, you are a human, just like me. It's very nice to realize that you're human.
I understand that. Yeah. I get that. I get that. And I like that because you see greatness first, and then you learn about them. I see flaws first, and then I see greatness. I'm like, always flaws first, and then oh, you are actually pretty good. Yeah, being around performers as much as I have, I just assume there's many flaws in all of them. So I'm like, yeah, but where's your, everybody's got something, either they can't drive. It's like, oh, you're great on stage, but you can't even drive. Like it's something like that. Or like, oh, you can sing in perfect pitch, but let's see you throw a ball, like, so yeah, so that would be you. But these are always the things that go through my mind is like, I remember, even playing tennis or my very first fight that I got into when I was inside. I thought my coolness could beat somebody in a fight, just because this kid was, didn't look great, didn't have any friends, picked food out of his mouth, and I thought like, okay, well, you wouldn't be good at anything. Oh, I tried to push him. He didn't even move. I moved back. So it's like these preconceived notions. You think things are the way they are until you get to a certain arena. Now, some people I've noticed that are really good in arenas, they will not leave their arena. Some guys that are good at a certain video game won't play other video games because it'll take them out of their element, and they don't want to show their weakness, right? And you have that a lot with people. I love showing weakness because if I find an area that I'm terrible at, much like when I was working out, my working out days, I would want to do it. Like, oh, leg lifts are really hard. Well, I'm going to do leg lifts then because I only have to do 10 for me to really feel the workout, right? Mm-hmm. So then all of a sudden you get good at leg lifts, and, you just getting uncomfortable is awesome. And I think that's a good practice for anything. But everybody's usually got that thing, like, or maybe I've had a lot of jobs. It doesn't even have to be a sport. It could be like, oh, you're talking to them, and then you get into the work or the job, and they're practiced at it, and they can do the job really easy because they've done it a bunch of times, and you'll get there too. Mm-hmm. You can get there too once you get a couple months in. But when they're teaching you the job, you're like, oh man, you're so good at this. How will I ever be as proficient at this job as you are right now? Mm-hmm. And it's always that unveiling for you, always that unveiling when you first start a job or something new, that people really, really shine,
Yeah, I definitely can empathize with that. I mean, there's also the instances where, you'll see somebody, they train you or whatever, and then a couple months in, you look over again, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so much farther than you.
Exactly. That's
like,
how
you've
the
been
whole
doing
thing
this for
goes.
how long?
I know, right? That's how it always ends up too. It's always like you ended up better. The student has become the teacher. Yes. Okay. All right. A little palate cleanser
Hi,
here
kids.
too.
I'm
so
Carl,
this
and I'm
came
a
up,
broker.
and now you've heard of Kitten Mittens, and I just watched my parents' dog. Kitten Mittens is like always sunny in Philadelphia. But it's cold outside, and you got to think about the dog's paws and stuff when you go outside. This dog putting on a pair of boots for the first time so they don't slip, and trained police dog, first of the year. And I've seen several videos like this. This was the new one here.
So the dog forgets about it and just goes right to it.
Come on, let's see the walk. But they just can't shake him off.
Do you have a toy or anything you throw? Where's that orange toy?
The dog's feeling too.
There we go.
Good dog.
This was suggested for my old
Well, you
dog.
can tell there's not a lot of fight
This
there.
Flora grip on the floor, the feet slide all around and end up crashing. But let's go out
He's not over it.
rather than having to get it. But that's the way of the future. They didn't have this 20 years ago. Boots for dogs, really, did they?
I don't think so.
I think I read a story about these Alaskan Iditarod dog running, and the dogs would run and run and run because their feet weren't used to it, and they wear the boots, but then they'd run through the boots eventually, and then their feet would be tough enough, right? Oh. So you basically, you run until you wear them off, but by that point your feet have adjusted. Something to keep in mind. But I thought that was a good little holiday treat right there. Yeah, a little palate cleanser. Do you want to kick us off with another topic here? What do you got for us?
Kendra's movie review.
Yeah, cha. So far, we've reviewed a couple movies. Let's go back.
Well,
talk about the movies that we started. So we've done Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
That was last week.
With a K.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go check the VODs.
Talked about Return of the Living Dead.
which was your 1980s
zombie
70s.
films. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That was our zombie film that I had never seen. Today's film coming from the realm of old-timey films, black and white.
These are all going to be old-timey? Is that the deal?
No, I mean, I've got the options for next week prepared, so we can talk a little bit about what movie I want to watch for next week at the end of this week. But
$782
was old. I really want to get this off to a good start, and the movie that we're reviewing today is considered a classic.
Okay, go ahead.
in the
It's up
B-horror
on the
films.
screen right now. So.
It's called Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Plan 9. No, I've never heard of this movie at all. Why did you pick it?
I picked this movie because this movie was actually received very little acclaim until the 1980s when authors Harry McDevil and Michael McDevil dubbed it the worst film ever made. 1980, they dubbed this the worst film ever made.
Really?
And so I was like, all right, well, I got to check out what the worst film ever made. Look, there's Bela Lugosi right there.
On the right?
Yep, there he is. This was Bela Lugosi's last film. So Dracula himself, this was the last film he ever appeared in because he actually died in the middle of shooting this film.
Shut up.
So the beginning scenes are the most you ever see of Bella, and then after that it's always him with a cape just like this because the actor that was covering for him was covering his face the entire time.
Oh, it wasn't Bella.
Correct.
Okay.
So this film is actually a I don't even know where to begin with this.
Bela Lugosi played Dracula, right?
Yes, Bela Lugosi played the original Dracula, and he played Dracula multiple times.
Okay.
He loved the story of Dracula. He was actually buried in one of his Dracula costumes.
Can I ask you some questions about the film?
All right.
Okay.
Shoot.
All right. How long is it?
Oh, it's about an hour and a half.
It's okay. It looks like hour 18 here, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it translate to today? Was it hard to watch?
It was hard to watch.
Really?
It was not. I would not consider this
what doesn't
easy
translate? What is it? Move slow or?
Well, it not only does it move slow a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of dialogue in it, so it had a surprising amount of dialogue for a 1959 film.
Right.
But it also it was kind of kooky. Okay, so. What I found funny about this was the pilots that we're looking on the screen right now, they see a UFO. And at one point, one of the pilots actually goes, "We've known about this for forever, and nobody's allowed to talk about it," referring to UFOs, which is hilarious because this film was made in 1959. And even back then, they were including in films like, "Oh, we've always known that the aliens have existed, but none of us are allowed to talk about it." So that felt very timeless for me.
Well, piloting was relatively new at this point, and they're like, well, they have to know about the other objects in the air, right? You know, so pilots, probably around like 15, 20 years at this point, commercial flights, 15 years maximum. So, okay, you could see that.
One of the classic...
They still sing that song, though. They do.
They do. It's exactly the same. You just got to see, there he is again, that flying saucer. Those saucers, this movie got a lot of backlash because people said, he used wheel rims, he used plates glued together for the saucers. No, he used a saucer model. So he bought little toy models of UFOs and then he glued them together. And that's
look at the control sticks that these guys have. They got little half circles here. What are they holding on to? That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's our idea of 1959 flight.
Okay, all right, cool. So I can't see the string on the UFO. That's pretty good.
So the way the UFOs decide to invade Earth is, first of all, they're invading Earth because they've tried to get our attention and we've been ignoring them. The government's been ignoring them. So what they're going to do, this is their plot to take over Earth, is they're going to bring certain people back to life to kill the living people. So we're going to take the dead people that are already on planet Earth, we're going to shoot them with a little space gun, and then they're going to come back to life to kill the current living people.
Wow. Okay, so they just what did they get hit with here? They all just fell down.
That was actually when the spaceship was flying by.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they jumped out of the way.
Yeah. So
got you. Okay. All right. Who's this? Morticia looking.
Yes, that's one of our
Look
Dracula
at that waistline.
She actually, the story goes, she would get dressed up in her makeup at home, and then she would take the bus across town to appear to film. Can you imagine somebody walking on the bus looking like that?
well, the eyebrows are kind of reminiscent of what the girls do with their eyebrows nowadays. That's pretty close, isn't it? That's it. That's what they're doing.
So
that's pretty good. Pencil thin.
So it had these weird elements of like.
She's got like a size 13-inch waist.
Tiny.
They used to. That was the in style, though, wasn't it?
It was to have a very cinched waist.
That was super cinched.
This film, it has like the scary horror movie, like dead rising from
Saucers
the graves.
seen over Hollywood. Okay, they so wobble on his string. That's so crazy.
So bad. So bad. It's good. I mean, if you enjoy bad horror movies, this definitely tops the list. It is a cult classic. Like I said, it was Bela Lugosi's last film. And, what was really kind of
It's
fun,
all on YouTube, too. Look at that.
You can watch the whole thing on YouTube right now.
Wow. Okay.
The aliens are hilarious. This is the aliens. The way they greet each other is by going like this. Very
they cross their arms.
Yes.
Oh, my God. That's great.
And
I want to see it.
What plan will you follow now?
Okay, go ahead. Keep talking.
So the aliens are ridiculous. They look just like us. They're, of course, it comes out at the end of the film that the whole idea is like we're afraid of nuclear war. That's why the aliens were invading us, because we had figured out the atomic bomb, and the next thing we were going to find out was this thing that they were already aware of, and we would destroy the entire universe if we were to get this power or whatever. So it felt very reminiscent of like our nuclear fears impacting our entertainment value. This is apparently the director, Ed Wood. He said this was his most proud film that he.
Ed Wood, didn't Johnny Depp play Ed Wood in a movie?
Maybe this film was considered Ed Wood's pride and joy. It's ridiculous. At one point, the alien just freaks out and says all these random things.
1994, Ed Wood was made. Johnny Depp plays Ed Wood, but it's all in black and white, and so it's they probably have this in part of that classic. Go ahead.
And the other thing of note for this film is if you're a lady, get ready to be offended, because from our planet, women are for breeding, not for fighting men's battles, is one of the lines that's said in this film.
Well, but they have her talking.
Yeah, and then this scene right here, he scolds her.
Who threatens the very existence. Enough! In my land, women are for advancing the race, not for fighting man's battle.
Well, that's it right there.
Yeah, there
Life is not so expansive on my planet.
So,
wow.
There's also a scene where the wife is told to stay in the car, and she's like, I don't want to stay in the car. And one of the other police detectives are like, modern women, just kind of like those modern women.
All right. Well, you watched it compared to Killer Clowns from Outer Space and, of course, the Walking Dead movie.
Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead. Well, you're rating them out of Starship Troopers with a base. How does this one rate?
Well, this did get a lulz count of 6. So I laughed out loud 6 times. I would give it...
I like that fighting punches, though. I like these punches he's throwing. Watch this. Watch this. It's good.
It doesn't get much better in the old-timey films.
I like that.
They overact everything.
Nice.
This, I gave it 3 points for self-awareness. I mean, it's not super self-aware, but it is very ridiculous. So, again, just the premise of the aliens are bringing vampires to life to kill the people because of atomic war. So definitely worth a watch. I would say that if you like, out of a score of 0 to 5, I would consider this like a 3. It is definitely worth watching just because it was considered the worst film ever made, and it definitely has some merits there. And if you enjoy making fun of a film, this has enough dialogue that it's not super boring. Because sometimes you'll watch those bad films and it's just silence. But this has a lot of back and forth ridiculous dialogue that certainly is a great watch for joking around with your friends.
One of the best.
So I would say I would give it like a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5 total. Starship Troopers. Okay. How does that compare with the other ones?
I mean, the Return of the Living Dead was like a 5 out of 5. Definitely a watch. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is like a 3.5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. I would say also definitely a watch. So we're kind of hitting all of the classics as far as like bad movies to watch. Also, Plan 9 from Outer Space, I would consider like a must watch for B horror films, especially if you consider yourself like somebody interested in the genre of like B horror films. Gotta know the classics. This is one of them.
I love it. 3 out of 5. There you go. The classic name of the show is
Plan 9 from Outer
You
Space.
can catch that on YouTube, and you can catch us live on Twitch. The show goes live every Saturday, 2 p.m. Episode number 5, Shoot the Messenger. AJ here with Kendra. And now on to our next topic. Taylor Swift making news using facial recognition software to detect stalkers at her LA concert. Facial recognition to detect her stalkers. So here's what the deal is. They used it inside. They were had light up bracelets, right? And they had merchandise stands and selfie stands, and they would watch these things, and the cameras would take photos of them and recognize their faces, go to a data center to alert them if any of her stalkers were in the building.
So like they like set up a photo booth is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Where you could take pictures, and then they also happen to have a camera there that was like scanning faces and being like, yeah, he's a no-no.
Yeah. It goes into all their stalkers. She has a stalker problem. 3 to 5 stalkers. They used the technology to arrest a man attending Jackie Chung concert in Nanjing. God. Wow. So yeah, these guys. What do you feel about this? Going to a concert, facial recognition. I mean, that's crazy.
Okay, so it's not uncommon for facial recognition to be used in places like China, right? We have all heard about the fact that China's using this software a lot. We've all seen that Facebook has used this software to like tag your pictures or whatever.
Yes.
I think that this is something that is definitely going to appear more, especially in public places. I think that I feel weird about the Big Brother aspect, but I also don't want to fight against it because in instances like this, I feel like it helps with safety. And in instances like for some reason I'm thinking about the Boston Marathon bombing and how like they had video footage of that. And granted, that was not face tracking software or anything, but they definitely used video evidence. So I feel okay with it being in public spaces. I am actually a little bit okay with it being set up where it's like the camera is set up and then also they have this camera that's going to scan faces because like they're basically inviting yourself to take a picture. You know that is a picture area.
It says she doesn't have any obligation to notify ticket holders that they might be surveyed. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it protects her. Like I said, I never have anything else to hide. So if you want to take my picture in public, when I'm out walking around, I guess it's my own problem. I'm in public, right? Public domain. Yeah, I don't really have a big problem with it as far as it's used for security, but what freedoms are we losing when we do that? I mean, this day and age, we're getting filmed all the time, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
We're getting filmed everywhere we go, so we might as well just it's already happening, so smile for the camera. Now, Taylor Swift is using it to crack down on her stalkers, which she's got some crazies, man. She's got some crazy. She's got people that think that she writes them love songs in her albums. You know what I'm saying?
Well, in a situation like that, I actually am more okay with them using that kind of technology because I can see it being a problem. I can see
it's her own security.
How it helps. Right.
Right. I know. I think it would help. I mean, we have 1913's fashions going on the screen right now. We can review these as we say our goodbyes. How about that?
I like it.
Okay. All right. Any big plans for next week? On Shoot
family.
the Messenger podcast every 2:00 on Twitch. You can feel free to join it. We started posting to the website too.
Okay. Yes. The website is up and running. As far as like our options for movies next year, I do have next week for our horror movies. I have some options for our guests.
Okay.
Moon 2009. It was made in 2009. It's a film where a space exploration person. Oh, look at that hat. Oh, it's got a face veil on it. It
does. There's a face veil on it. This is what they thought the future would be, maybe. All right.
Keep the mosquitoes out.
These are the latest fashions from 1917. So if you can imagine, look at that. It's like a suit. It's not. What has survived? What has not? Look at all that extra cloth.
It's a lot of extra cloth.
It's a lot. Anyway, go ahead. Continue.
Beyond Moon. So it's basically like a isolation story. It's one person mostly.
Like it.
Train to Busan. That came out in 2016. That's
Watch
actually
your mouth.
Korean film.
Okay.
That's the one where zombies. They're on a train and zombies are.
Oh, that's supposed to be really good.
Yeah. So I could watch that and do that for our movie review.
That is supposed to be amazing. I might watch that with you if you watch Train to Busan.
It's on Netflix right now. Train to Busan.
That's almost scary. It's like, ooh, God, do I want to watch this?
Yeah.
Before I watched Shaun of the Dead, I felt the same way. I was like, ooh, do I want to?
Shaun of the Dead?
Shh. Yeah, I didn't know. I knew what was gonna what's gonna go down, but you don't know how. Or Dawn of the Dead. I think, even more so.
Yeah. Or Sharknado is a possibility.
There's nothing worse than the feeling like before a zombie movie kicks off when everything's normal. You know, like it ain't gonna be that normal for long, and
that's part of the reason why I love zombie films, though.
I don't think Sharknado gives me that feeling. So
I don't think so either. It's really for the.
Look at this.
Value.
She's got the wrap underneath the hat and the wrap. There you go, 1930, babe. Nice big brim on there.
Hats used to be a thing. Hats used to be a much bigger thing.
Yeah.
With a little bow.
Like girls could wear their hats inside and men couldn't. That was my big pet peeve on hats. That was it. I don't even know.
Well, hats but it also used to be like our hair would be messed up if we took our hat off, and ladies' hair are very important.
Any other? I know I'll be reviewing Finally It's a Wonderful Life. I'll bring some media, some pictures from the show, and kind of do a wrap on that. And also, whatever we can pick up on the internet, you got your ideas for the show. Feel free to leave us a comment in the descriptions, or you can hit us up directly. You know, it's a small show right now, so we're pretty accessible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I would agree. Any final words before we go?
We're here every Saturday at 2. ShootTheMessenger.net.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep reviewing the show. I'm going to try to get better, a little bit better every time. But, I'm serious. If you guys have a note or something, any ideas, thoughts, feel free to share them on the website. And I'm going to enjoy this, which is our little intro that we have now. I like it. The little cartoon. I'm going to do some work on it and kind of get it a little bit better. But that's it for the show. And thanks for joining us once again. I'm AJ and...
Kendra.
Yeah, see you next week.